Bluetooth pairing. Bluetooth connected.
There's a rhythm in the markets, in the resonant echoes of the opening bell, in the prelude.
Yeah, you knew, Chuck. It's more if somebody took the music and like remixed it and extended it and added a little bit to it, but it's Knight Rider for sure. What's up, someone saying? I know, it's not a super late one. I've been busy. Yeah, Chuck, that's what I was talking to my friend Bobby about when we were driving to the convention on Friday. I was jamming to this speeding down the highway because I'm a dork. But I was like, you know, it was really awesome. Like the theme song is perfect, but you try and rewatch the show now, and you're like, yeah, you just fast forward to the car scenes. That's another Buck Rogers. That opening montage, like the opening credits, I actually really like. As a kid, it gave me chills because I was kind of spooked out by it. And I really love, I'm a big fan of vehicles and cars and spaceships and shit. And those space fighters that they flew around in that Buck Rogers show were so cool. But again, like you're saying, you watch it and you're like, the Erin Gray, she's always good for I'll check her out. But yeah, it's just kind of, sometimes things just don't last, do they? Yeah, badass intros. And yeah, they were so great. I'm a huge fan of the reimagined Battlestar Galactica, but that original theme song, it's perfect. The way it opens up with space and a voiceover, there are those who believe that life here began out there. Yeah. You don't like Tweaky, the guy that looked like a head that was a freaking penis? And he's like, beat it. Hey, Buck. Thundercats. If only the show were as cool as that intro. You know what? Thundercats is one of the few things I think certain parts of it hold up. I really like the, opening 4 or 5 episodes, like the intro to the characters. For an 80s cartoon, I feel like it kind of held up pretty well. But yeah, that intro, like so many of them, was just so epic.
Try Cascade Platinum Plus. It removes up to 100% of food residue, even in older dishwashers.
Making progress in life. It starts with more access to opportunities. At Progressive, we gift vehicles to veterans annually because no one deserves progress more than those who serve.
I thought the Voltron, the old Voltron animated show, had a pretty awesome, spooky kind of opening. Spooky to a kid in the 80s. Yeah, the comic characters like Snarf. Well, I don't know if you've had a chance to read my books, but you saw what we did to Snarf. He did not last long in my book. No, you're fine. I'm not worried about it, but I'm just like, you'll see. I guess I spoiled it. Spoiler. We felt the same way about Snarf, me and my brother, who helped me draw portions of books 1 through 3. Yeah, someone said you liked the Thundercats as a kid. I still do, yeah. It's more of a tease if you want to see them die in the first place. See? There you go. That might get you to pick it up. Yeah, because in the first book, the first volume, it's basically 3 24-page comics put together. My art is the first one and the last one, and my brother did the middle one. And again, it was a long time ago, so there's some parts of it artistically that are really rough. But the Thundercats have a hard go of it. But to be fair, every character that shows up in my fan comic has a hard go of it at some point. She-Ra especially had a hard go of it when her and Fisto had their little moment, if you know what I'm saying. Presumably a couple times. You know how sometimes with like movie posters, they put like a blurb or a quote or on the back of graphic novels? You know, Alan Moore said this about Neil Gaiman's something something. I think I just found what I'm going to put on the back of my next printing, Chuck. Chuck Gibson was quoted as saying, "It's fine, she gets fried in the end because she's all gapped out from having been fistoed." I would literally actually die if that was on there, in like a good way, dude. People would be like, "Wait. No way a regular dude doesn't fall out of that now." Oh, man. Oh, so true. It's funny because it's true. Some other guy be like, "What the hell have you done in your past? Don't you worry about it." She went looking for that glove. She's like, it seemed like the thing to do to bury it, but I gotta unbury it so then I can rebury it. It's the only way she can have an everlasting touch. I mentioned in the story that Trapjaw had added gizmos to it, so it wasn't just like a metal glove. Like, it has functions, which I actually never got around to using. I was just like, there's too much shit. I gotta cut some of this stuff out. So, to be fair, technically, kind of. See? Right? We know what's up. I don't say that these comics are made for adults for no reason. Tyreek Daniels, if I see that right. Blue on paper. Yeah, I do most of my initial pencil drawings with this Kohl Erase blue erasable pencil. I almost can't draw with the regular pencil anymore. Patrick Pierce, how's it going? Jerky Trick, just working on a drawing of my own characters.
Become somewhat of a 49ers fan over the past few years. Julianne, just what a legend, icon, and what she does. It's really cool to meet everybody.
Get off your ass.
Well, thanks, Jerky Trick. I appreciate that. I really do. I don't know anything about Ultraman, so I couldn't tell you what looks like Ultraman, if anything does, because I don't know anything about it, and it's not Ultraman, but if there's design similarities, it is coincidental and unintentional. Hey Chuck, if you're still in there, I was just thinking out loud to myself and wondering, is there a book that you inked back when you were doing stuff regularly that you would consider this is my finest hour? I've probably asked you this before, if you're still listening, Chuck. Like, is there one issue that you would say is like, this is the book where I did the best inking I ever did overall? You're not sure you should say? All right. Is there one that's maybe not what you say is your best, but one that you feel is really good that you could say? The cross-gen stuff just in general? You were saying that you were doing the best work of your career. Silken Ghost issues 1 through 3. That's awesome. I don't even think I've heard of that one. What's up, Dan Goodwin? There's a spin-off for the Way of the Rat book, Feudal Japan era martial arts. That sounds awesome. Who was the penciler on that? Jerky Trick, you got a question for me? Am I a professional comic artist? Absolutely not. If by professional you mean have I ever worked for any major company that saw publishing in print? Absolutely not. I'm just a guy at home that just makes my own shit because I like to and I want to. But I take it seriously. But no, not a pro. Will Rosado, who done some Green Arrow work over at DC, his work is excellent. Awesome. You know what? Have to look that up, Chuck. Jerky Trick, you say, if not, how do you find the strength, time, and energy to keep working aside from your family and work? I have talked about this before on my channel there, Jerky Trick. I think just the first step is you have to want to do it. And by want, I don't mean you think about it all the time. I mention this often, how I've known so many people that talk about all the time the stuff that they're gonna do. I'm gonna do this. I have this 100-issue story arc. I this and I that. And it's like, okay, show me one page. and they never, ever, ever have anything done. And, you know, a person doesn't have to dedicate their life to producing a page a day, but you can produce a page a month or every 2 or 3 weeks if you take it seriously, most likely. I am in a fortunate situation through unfortunate circumstances. If you're still listening, Jerky Trick, I am not married anymore, and I unfortunately do not have my kids with me full time. So outside of my regular job, I find it that I have enough time to dedicate to doing this because I don't have those things in my life all the time. And I also don't let myself get distracted by video games and shit. So I have the time and I have the interest. I am fortunate to have the time, but having the interest, I think, is just a matter of self-discipline. You either want it or you don't. Hell yeah, Antoine. What's up, dude? So yeah, Jerky Trick. I mean, there's not any one video, really. I usually, you know, I do these lives fairly often. I was doing them way very often. Back when I was working on my book last month and wrapping up. And now that I got my book done, I'm kind of chilling it out for a minute. But I talk about this often on my live streams. So there's not any one that I'm saying you can go directly see. I've just talked about it on live streams often, but I should probably do a one-off. But yeah, the premise is you have to want to do it. You have to sit down. You got to want it. And if you'd rather, you know, get off work and come home and play, you know, some online game for 4 hours straight, that's fine. That's what you're interested in, but you're not interested in making comics. You know what I mean? There's a difference between a person that has, like, I like comic books, they're fun, I collect them, I read them, and, you know, you think about stories, but if you don't sit down and make them, then you're not interested in them. You just have like a passing, like, oh, I like to draw. And that's all fine, but if you want to make comics, you got to sit down and make them, and it's just day after day, page after page of just a blank sheet of paper or whatever, waiting to be filled up. But just get started, just get going, just start making a thing. And I've talked at length about this, is even if you're not quote unquote the best artist, if you make one and finish it, you are so far ahead of the game of so many other people, specifically the aforementioned people who will talk to me all the time about the stuff they're gonna do. Like a half-assed drawn or halfway drawn, in terms of professional quality comic in hand, is way better than the perfect artist who never produces a damn thing. So you got to want to do it. You got to be willing to sit down and say, I am going to produce some work. So there's discipline involved. Be as hungry as Robin, you'll be successful. I mean, you'll at least make something. Since it comes up, I might as well show it, right? Bear with me while I grab them. But yeah, like I was saying, when you sit down and want to make something, eventually you'll have something in hand. Like these are all the books that I've made, my one big story. I just finished making this one. 147 pages of story and then a bunch of back matter. But I've got a story that I can let people read. But you just have to want to do it. Just get started. Just produce a couple pages, then you'll want to do a few more, then you'll want to do a few more, in theory. So, Dan Goodwin, I like that. Once you force yourself into a pattern, it becomes an addiction and you won't care about video games and stuff later. Just get the ball rolling. Yeah, I agree. That's how it was for me. And Dan Goodwin is a good one to take example from. That man produces a lot of work. He is constantly grinding the comics and he's got a volume of stuff to read. So people go follow his channel, go check him out. Check out his work. There's a guy who makes stuff. He's a maker. Damie King, has my brother posted any new vids lately? He's feeling the grind of making a YouTube channel with his life, and he's got a wife and a kid, so he's trying to reevaluate what he's going to do with it. He's still going to post stuff, but it's going to be much more infrequent and different content. He's kind of burned out a little bit. I told him it was a big undertaking to keep up what I'm doing, but he was doing pretty good. But he's got a wife and a little 2-year-old kid. It's hard. That's actually a good point. I should point that out to my brother. Like, just post up Rusty cat vids. Just take video of the cat and post those. Watch. Those will get like way more views than he does with his regular shit. And then he'll be pissed. Which I actually think would be funny. I mean, in a way, jerky. I mean, but again, you got to just want to do it anyway. Like, do you have a story that you want to tell, or is your goal to get hired by Marvel or DC or something? Do you have characters? Do you have ideas? You know, you gotta want it. I want it because I've got a non-stop flow of stories in my head at all times, and I've talked about this, how I'm like, I wasn't gonna let all of my stories in my head never see the light of day. Something is gonna get out there somewhere, some way, somehow. And comics is a great way, because as long as you can draw it, you know, it's not animation or movies, but you can still tell your story. That's a good point, Antoine. The one comic you actually finished, you had all the pages pre-ruled and sitting on your art table. Made the starting process easy. I have a similar technique when I was doing it. Is like I have all my pages. Like I write down the basic plot, and then I do all the thumbnails for all the pages all the way to the end of the book already in advance. So I'm not staring at a blank page wondering how to tell the story, which I think is common sense for any artist who's doing it. I think every artist who does this for real does a version of this, but don't just put yourself in a position where you're staring at a blank page and you haven't worked out the storytelling yet. Figure it out. Do a little small thumbnail, stick figures, and figure it out. So when you sit down and you start drawing the page, you've already got the complexities figured out, the storytelling. All you have to do is just do the physical drawing. Have the paper on your table, have the borders already done. I'll do that in advance. I'll rough out the borders, and then I'll rule them in and ink the borders, and then I just have to then go in and do the physical drawing. I'll do like 4 or 5 pages in a row of the borders, just all the borders, and then start doing the physical drawing. Something to just help you sit down and just go. Disfortunate out of Silvestri, Lee, and Finch. Who do I prefer? It's Silvestri all day, every day, over both of those guys. And those, all of them are like top tier, first-rate talent, but Silvestri is my guy. Yeah, Antoine, you're saying things may change, but you're never wondering what needs to be drawn. Yeah, there's always fluidity. There's always like variation that can happen. But if you got it figured out for the most part, it's kind of easy. In fact, the only time things change is when I come up with something better in the moment. There's sometimes I don't come up with the best possible solution until I'm actually physically drawing it. Even if I've already done the storytelling thumbnails for every page, I'll be sitting down looking at it and going, oh, this would actually be better. Disfortunate said you saw my video on the Batman and Joker Deadly Duo Unplugged and you're going to order it. Yeah, that's what I did. Old Chuck Gibson was showing it on his channel, and I'm like, I didn't even know it existed. So I went and found it ASAP and ordered it real fast. Since I'll probably never get my hands on that artist edition they put out in fucking France. Dan Goodwin says, most important thing though, if you're new to making comics, just make a 4-pager, then a couple of 6-pagers, then maybe 8 pages. Don't try to do a big story first. That is solid advice. Just do a few pages. Just get started and do a short story. Don't sit down having never done it and go, I'm going to make a 140-page graphic novel. Because you most likely won't. Yeah, disfortunate. Why they made it in France only, and if there was ever any marketing push for it in the States, I never heard of it. I never saw it. I would have been on that so fast. Just didn't exist. Disfortunate you're in Europe and it's hard to get that stuff. I was checking a lot of European websites and still couldn't find it. Well, yeah, that's kind of my point. I bet you it's sold out fast, but if it sells out fast, why don't they make a bunch of them and make them available to everybody and sell thousands of them? Like what am I not understanding? Chuck, I'm trying to apply common sense to the way comic companies' business is conducted. They don't do that. Why would we want to make a lot of money and put the product that is in demand in the hands of people who are willing to pay? Right. You did order some unwrapped books from Mile High Comics. Yeah, those are always fun. I like those, but I've been saying on my channel for years, I'm like, I just want to see some black and white Mark Silvestri artwork, and then now here's the best possible version I could ever get of his current stuff, and it's limited print run, gone immediately. Like, tough luck, kid. Go find one on the aftermarket for 4 times the price, if you're lucky.
motorcycles, where the circus like freeways. I kept dreaming of a world I thought I'd never see. And then, one day, I got in.
Got all these artists now working on digital software and submitting stages of their work to editors digitally, but they can't figure out how to get people to buy digital books. It seems to me some of the how-to process extra shots could be included in the digital edition. Could be. I just know that I'm stubborn and I just don't like reading comics digitally. But a physical book with digital artwork is totally fine, and the more back matter the better. I'm into that for sure. Chuck, maybe you'd pay a regular cover price for digital version, but you want to see the script, the layouts, the pages in black and white, the full Photoshop color file. Yeah, all the extras, since we're talking about digital anyway. That is a good point, Chuck, actually. If somebody had, an artist that did work that I really liked and it had that kind of content, you're not wrong. That would make me interested. I was checking through my iPhone and there's a section with like files in it, and there was a slew of digital files of like Kickstarters that I've supported and stuff like that I didn't even know was on there, and I just deleted them all. I'm like, I don't read comics digitally. I don't care. But if all that kind of extra supplemental material, script and roughs and inks and black and white were all part of the package, that's a whole different thing. Anton, I'm like you. When I really like something, I want a print edition. Yes, me too. I want to sit and hold it and look at it and not stare at my phone. Patrick Pierce, not me, man. My guts can't handle a lot of heat. I can do a little, but not a lot. That's smart. Customize the book you want. I know that I would choose, if given the opportunity, let me print on demand a lot of black and white editions. Like, just give me the file. Let me choose to print a black and white edition of XYZ. Chuck, you can't tell you how many times I've passed on buying a book because it didn't have the format and binding. You didn't like the format and binding? Yeah?
HomeDepot.com recorded. Our biggest fall summer event, October 3rd through 7th. 5 days to save on the 4th you never have to leave the house for. Find everything you need for home from home. And now for us during the 40s. Only on HomeDepot.com.
Sounds shitty, huh? Get it? It does sound not fun there, Patrick. They have Japanese game shows like that. Hoopu Blast. Tub, sink, toilet, right? I will shotgun the neighbor's rose bushes if I have to. Teach that neighbor's dog a lesson, right? Hey, buddy, keep shitting on my lawn, guess what? Ooh, shitty dog. Why you shit on my lawn? This thing isn't perfect, but it's me just working out ideas and designs and practicing shading and shit like that, but kind of alright with it. I spent this weekend at Comic-Con when I'm drawing for myself, trying to understand Mignola heavy shadow style. I had a lot of fun with this one, actually. French put too many panels on a page. Yeah, I can see that. Just, I guess it kind of depends on who's doing the storytelling and if it's really engaging. Yeah, you're right. Antoine Mignola thinks in terms of shape and value and uses very little feathering to suggest value transition. Right. And I'm just trying to understand it. I'm just trying to... I feel like when I add a lot more heavy shadows to my work, like a Mignola or a Jay Lee, I often find that it works out better than I thought that it would, but I find it so hard to do. But on the flip side, not doing any shadows, just a completely open line kind of drawing, you can't hide anything with that. So that's equally hard. In fact, it's more hard. It's harder, I think. It's all hard. It's all difficult. Let's just say that. It's all a pain in the ass. Hey Chuck, I got a theoretical question for you. I feel like I've probably asked you this question before. I'm just curious, what are your thoughts? Like a hypothetical situation, if we had a time machine. What if we took, for example, let's just go with Jim Lee, like his penciled pages, like the best pages he did in like Uncanny X-Men, whatever those may be. Let's say we took 7, 8, 9 of those penciled pages and went back into, I don't know, the late 60s when Marvel was just getting going with their new Spider-Mans and the Fantastic Four and stuff, or even in the 70s, and plopped Jim Lee pages down in front of the editors of Marvel in that era. Like, what do you think that they would say to artwork like that? Would they be blown away? They're like, this is totally different? Would they say do you think they'd say it's a joke? I'm just curious, just as a thought exercise. What do you think, and Jim Lee's just one example, taking that 90s era aesthetic and plopping it down to the guys in the classic era, and just what do you think the old masters would think of that type of work? I've always wondered what they would say if you sat a Mark Silvestri page down in front of John Buscema, and would they be like, what the hell is this crap? Or how did you learn to do this? Daniel Goodwin, witchcraft. See, Antoine, I kind of think you're probably right, but I wonder what their problem would be exactly, if they would have a problem with 90s Jim Lee. And I'm not even choosing his, adjectiveless X-Men era stuff or his Wildcat stuff or even his modern work. He's just one example, but I've always had this thought what would the old classic masters of the day think of artwork from 3 decades later, Right, yeah, those guys are doing it wrong by the old standards. And right, yeah, and I kind of figured that would be most likely, but I just wonder if it would catch anybody's eye and be like, but there's something there. Or maybe they just, what we see, the aesthetics of what kids were interested in just wouldn't translate to what the kids were interested in back in those days. And they just probably, it would think it's just a joke. Like, I just watched for the first time that movie Amadeus in the early 80s about Mozart that won all these awards. And, I mean, I knew Mozart was a genius, but I didn't realize at what level, at what age as he was doing stuff. And so I just wonder, like, what if we took, like, an instrumental score that John Williams wrote and took it back and played it for Mozart? What would he think? Would he be like, what is this stupid-ass, childish garbage? Or would it make him go, huh, there's something there? Antoine, you think also they would have issues with the storytelling in terms of overall narrative tone? I'm sure. Chuck says that little wiggle thing that Scott Williams does that he used, that used to be referred to as fish hooking and was a sign of amateurish inking. That's interesting because if I'm thinking of what you're referring to, I think I know what you're talking about. That's funny. I don't see that as amateurish inking, but I mean, what do I know? But that the old-timey guys would think that. That's interesting. Or what about like a Mignola page from Hellboy, you know? All these heavy, dark shadows and stuff. I mean, the storytelling's there and the mood's there, but would, you know, those guys back in the day still look at it and go, what the hell are you guys doing? I don't know. It's just one of those things I always think about. Psylocke's butt all over the place would have people clutching pearls. Yeah, and I do get that, Antoine. What we consider good is often a product of our time and the cultural zeitgeist. Right, and I get it. And that's why I just wonder how it would look or be thought of in a different era. Shapes in the face where it's open like a line, like that would have been filled in black, but it's left out. It looks like a stylistic thing, but it started as an in a hurry and someone decided it was cool looking. Yeah. It'd be interesting to take like Eric Larson, Savage Dragon stuff, just because Eric Larson is such a Kirby mark, and go back into the 60s or whatever it was that Kirby was kind of going. And like, here, what do you think of these pages that are highly influenced by Kirby's work, but obviously different? And just have him look at it and go, God damn, was somebody trying to rip me off but doing it poorly? I don't know. Guess you could come up with all kinds of like possibilities. That's a good point, Antoine. All magazines showing bodybuilders using steroids, so you see so much more exaggerated muscular anatomy. So then comic artists start taking that and drawing it that way. That's an interesting point. Yeah, because superhero builds were more, like, less hyper roided out for sure. Chuck says, like, that horizontal rendering Jim Lee does on forums, going across the forum like that actually serves to flatten out that forum. Right. It's interesting. Yeah, I'm breaking the panel borders. I remember when I was younger, there'd be, I don't know, interviews or articles or how-tos, and it was like, don't ever. I remember reading somewhere somebody was saying, don't ever break the border. Like, don't ever. You never ever do that. So it is written, so it shall be done. You never ever break the border. And now it's like it happens and I don't even notice outside of I think it looks good. Chuck saying it looks cool, but from a technical drawing point of view, it's not the most effective way to render. All good points, guys. Very good points. And then I'm sitting here trying to draw exactly like that. Like, I want that Jim Lee Image comic style look, damn it. Sort of. Not completely, but there's something there. Like, we all pick from the things we love, right? Like, I like this, I like this, I like this. Want to pick apart what we like and try to make something different. From the point of view of a classically trained guitarist, Eddie Van Halen is a hack. It's all a matter of perspective and what you're looking for out of the work. Yeah, it's a good point. Like, I've known a guitarist before, and he'd talk about how, you know, some of these guys are revered as these amazing guitarists, and it's like, the thing they're doing is not that complicated. And then he'd show me something from a different guitarist who's doing really complicated stuff, but sometimes it's the showmanship, the personality, and writing that perfect musical hook that captures the imagination. You don't have to be the best, you just have to be interesting to the public to want to have more of it. So, yeah. Nate. No feet, Nate. They're standing on rock formations, and therefore we're at a low angle, no feet. Big time. Also, guitar effects help these guys a lot in some cases. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, Antoine. In Planetary, Cassidy really maintains a conservative page layout. It's not very much structural tomfoolery at all. Yeah, you're right. But somehow he makes it look so dynamic and dramatic and good. I'm just blown away with every page. Nate, the convention, I don't know. I'm kind of in a weird spot with it. It was good. It was fine. Everything was kind of the way it always goes. Nothing new or unique. I didn't really make any money. I think I basically broke even if I'm lucky. I added everything up and You know, if you factor in everything, like I parked and then I bought some food there, you know. But I basically broke even at best, and that's fine. But for the first time since I've been doing them, I think the first time I went was in 2015. And then I took a break for about a year and a half when I was getting divorced. I stopped going. But then once I was single again, I've been going every year. But for the first time since I've been going, when I got done this year, I actually considered not going again next year. And I don't know, I'm just kind of tired. I'm just kind of burned out. And again, a lot of it's been the working hard on the comic, and then you just kind of wish that, well, the convention, I'll make some cash on that because that helps, and it didn't. But it was fun. I got to see my friends. I got to sit with my best friend Bobby. My brother was right next to me, and one of his best friends is one of my good friends. And we talked, and I met some fun people. I picked up a couple of comics. Had some people that were very happy with what I did. I had several people. I had about 4 people show up anxiously looking for book 6 of my fan comic. They're like, oh my God, I've been waiting for this. When's the next one? I'm like, dude, this story's over, you know? And they're like, no, you're going to be done? I'm like, well, basically, I've got like a little short epilogue story I have in mind, and I've got an alternate universe take on these characters. Like these guys. Joseph Rubinstein was there. I didn't talk to him. I didn't want to interrupt him. He was busy at work doing a commission for somebody, and I don't know. I didn't want to interrupt him, but man, flipping through his portfolio, like his mixed media stuff, his paintings, Jesus Lord, I would buy an art book of that stuff. He also had price tags on them for like $1,500, $2,000. So it was fun. It you know, it wasn't it wasn't a waste of time by any means, but I just got done, and I was just, for the first time in my life, I'm like, I don't know if I want to come back next year. So I don't know. I got to sit with it for a while and rethink how my setup is. Yeah, my brother's setup, he buys 2 tables. I have one, he buys 2. So I spent $500 for my table. My brother spent $850, something like that. He might have broke even if he was lucky. So it's just hard. So I don't know. I'm sure by the time the next one's coming up, like I don't have to decide for several months. They put out the the applications for the next one down the road, and then I can choose to pay for that table. That's what she said. I don't know. It was just a weird feeling. I was just like, this is. I'm sure I'll go next year. I'm sure. It's just right now, I've got more of the burning desire itch to sit and draw a comic than be at a convention. I've had a couple people say, you should come to this convention. You should come to, Arizona or one in Florida. And I'm like, I can't afford that. I can't afford travel and room and board and food to then not even barely make back my table fee. Like, I am not traveling out of state. I do not have that kind of freedom. I remember a couple years ago at a convention, Whilce Portacio was there, and I had a couple books in hand for him to sign. I had him sign Wetworks #1 and then that first issue with Bishop. And I walked right up to him. He had no one around him at the time, so I walked right up to Whilce Portacio and chatted him up. Nice guy. He's very friendly. He's like, how's it going? Utah's a nice place, he said. So I chatted up Whilce, but he wasn't doing anything, and I'm kind of like, I want to respect a person's space and time. I know these guys are happy to be bothered if you're willing to spend cash, but if you're just there to like interrupt them while they're working, trying to make money. So I try to respect their space. Yeah, Will's is super cool. Yeah, he seemed like a really good guy. I really enjoyed chatting him up. I met Ed McGuinness and Dexter Vines at a convention. They were kind of pissed, not at me, but at the convention, because they're like high profile artists, and they put them up against the back wall, facing a concrete wall, back in the corner away from nobody. And they're like, who the fuck puts us here? They weren't trying to be egotistical about it, but they're 100% right. They're not nobodies, and they crammed Ed McGuinness and Dexter Vines in the back corner. So I think the next day they actually got moved to somewhere else, but they were kind of mad, but they were really friendly to chat up. Dexter Vines showed me the type of inking brush that he uses, talking about, he said a Scharf was the brand and there was a number on it, a 101 or something like that. I might have that wrong. But he says everything he does is with the brush. Peter David was there one time. He was sitting all by himself. No one was talking to him. I felt kind of bad, but I didn't go talk to him either. Met Ryan Otley because he lives in Utah. He doesn't go to these conventions anymore, but I actually went to Otley's house once. He let me come over and meet him. He was really cool about that. And then, like I showed, I met Jim Lee at a local comic book store. He came and did a signing, and I got to meet Jim and talk to him for 5 seconds. He was cool. All right, Chuck, thanks for stopping in as always, sir. We'll chat again soon. My brother told me a story. He went to a convention out of state. He went to Vegas or something like that. And I'm pretty sure my brother told me he was taking a piss in the bathroom right next to J. Scott Campbell. He's like, I should have said something right there, but we both had our dick on our hands. I didn't feel like that was the right time. And my brother was like, I should have said, like, Battle Chasers was so much better. Which it wasn't, but it would have been funny to say. Might have got peed on. He's like, fuck you, Danger Girl, all the way. And like, you know what? If I could have a story of like, I got drenched in J. Scott Campbell piss, I'd share it happily. But I've still got the shirt. I didn't wash it. It still reeks of J. Scott Campbell piss. Who wants to auction it off? People would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Norton? You know what sucks is at this convention, James O'Barr was supposed to be there. And there was this couple in cosplay, this, I assume, boyfriend, girlfriend. They were in the most amazing, like, original Crow movie cosplay I've ever seen. The dude looked exactly like him. The only difference is that the dude was slightly heavier than Brandon Lee was. But Brandon Lee was, like, hyper in shape, and this guy was slightly fluffy. I'd trade places with him in a second. But his makeup, his hair, the outfit with like the black electrical tape around it and bullet holes in it, and the long coat, like the greasy wet hair hanging in his eyes, like perfect movie quality makeup with the white and then the black crow mask. And his girlfriend was just like a chick version of it. She was hot as fuck. And they stopped at my table and were like, do you know where James O'Barr is? And I was like, I didn't even know he's supposed to be here. But I went walking around later and found a table that had his name on it, but I guess he wasn't able to show. I was like, holy shit. I was like, I would have got off my ass and left my table to go meet James O'Barr. Like, that I would have done. But I guess he didn't show, so that kind of sucks. Well, that's funny. Someone's saying this guy looks like Ultraman. If he turned his head, he wouldn't look like Ultraman at all. I actually made his design look intentionally like the Savage Dragon. I'm going to be jumping off here too, Dan. It's unfortunately I got to go back to work tomorrow. My 9 days off are up, so I better try and get in bed and get some sleep. But I got to go. Anybody who's still watching, thank you as always. I appreciate it. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Let me see if me and Jessica can get on a live this week, at least once. We were doing them so regularly, but our schedules have been so hard to line up. But see if we can't get a live stream. Delafonte, we missed you, man. I didn't see you on there, but good to see you, and catch you later. All right, guys, see you later.